At exactly 4 a.m., the frost on the diner window curls like lace, and John Miller's laughter, dry, surprised, almost boyish, breaks the silence before the first kettle whistles. He's laughing because the sugar packet in his stiff fingers still says "Sweet Dreams," even though the dreams have been gone for years, and because the diner's wall clock is 2 minutes fast, which means he has exactly 120 seconds before the mail truck leaves without him and the letter he's never mailed. The laughter vanishes as quickly as it came. The cliffhanger is the quiet click of the diner door behind him as he steps back into the cold, the letter still in his pocket, unsent. The camera lingers on the empty stool he just left, the vinyl cracked in the shape of a star. Maple Falls, Vermont, population 2, 137 wakes slowly. The smell of wet cedar from last night's snow melt drifts down Main Street, mixing with the burnt butter scent of the diner's Tuesday special. Blueberry griddle cakes, $2 off for seniors. Outside, the only sound is the soft rattle of the old window pane whenever the north wind exhales. No one notices the thin man in the olive coat standing by the mailbox, rubbing the edge of an envelope addressed simply, "To Mom," somewhere. John's face, close up now, is a map. Each line, a road he never planned to take, each scar, a town he can't forget. The camera doesn't look away from the tremor in his left cheek when he mentions, almost in a whisper, that he once folded a flag for another family and never unfolded his own life afterward. He served 22 years, 3 deployments, 2 medals, 1 dog tag returned without the dog. When he speaks, the words come out measured, like he's still counting cadence. "You think the war ends when you come home," he says. But sometimes it just changes uniforms. No politics, only fact. The mailbox flag is up. The letter remains inside his coat. A day in the life unfolds in muted tones. We follow him past the library, where the heat vent offers 15 minutes of grace, past the bench outside the hardware store, where the manager pretends not to see him pocket yesterday's newspaper for insulation. Hunger is a dull drum. Pride is a louder one. When he accepts a half sandwich from a teenage girl walking her dog, the camera catches the way his shoulders fold inward, as if saying thank you without making eye contact. The girl's name is Lily. She'll matter later, but right now she's just a blur of purple scarf and shy smile. Night falls fast in January. The shelter is full. He's number 27 on the list, capacity 26, so he heads to the underpass by the creek. The sound of water over rocks is softer than his breathing, but both keep him awake. Unforeseen kindness begins with a whisper. Wednesday morning, the diner's owner, Ruth, 68, hair the color of fresh snow, slides a plate of griddle cakes across the counter without being asked. "Tuesday, special's gone," she says, "but the cook made extra batter." John hesitates. Ruth pretends to wipe an already clean spot. It's not charity, it's breakfast. He eats slowly, counting bites the way soldiers count steps. When he stands to leave, Ruth's voice drops. "There's a cot in the back room, no questions." John's eyes film over. The camera catches the glint, but not the tears. He declines. Habit is heavier than fatigue, but he pockets a paper napkin that smells of maple and something like forgiveness. The ripple starts small. Lily tells her grandmother, the town's retired librarian, who tells the pastor, who posts a note on the church bulletin board. Veteran needs warm boots, size 10. By Friday, the board is covered in sticky notes, boots, coat, grocery card, haircut, dentist, job lead. No names, just offers. Maple Falls has its own quiet internet, and it runs on casseroles and conscience. The camera steps back to watch the town move like a murmuration of starlings, each person shifting slightly, creating a shape they couldn't make alone. The next morning, John finds a cardboard box outside the underpass. Inside, new boots, wool socks, a thermos of cocoa still steaming, and a note in shaky handwriting. From someone who remembers. no signature. He sits on the frozen ground to change his shoes, and for the first time in months, his feet feel something other than pain. The gentle twist arrives here. Among the socks is a small silver bell, the kind that once hung on a dog collar. John's fingers close around it, and the viewer sees recognition flicker his war dog. Scout wore one just like it. The bell doesn't jingle. It's dented, silent. He slips it into his pocket next to the letter, and the camera holds on his face as the real question blooms. What would you do in their place? Drop a thought, or even a single emoji below. Days layer like snow. Ruth convinces him to wash dishes for 2 hours in exchange for meals. The pastor offers the church basement on nights the shelter overflows. Lily brings books from the library, large print westerns, because she noticed his hands tremble when the words are small. Each kindness is a thread. Together they begin to weave a net. John still sleeps outside some nights, but now there's a blue tarp, a donated sleeping bag rated for 15 below, and the quiet certainty that someone will check on him at sunrise. The town's rhythm adjusts. Mail carrier slows to wave. Barber hangs a "free trim for vets" sign. High school shop class builds a tiny wooden shed on wheels, 4 walls, 1 window, a chimney hole for a small stove. They call it the Scout House, and no one explains why. The camera finds John sanding the shed's door, his breath fogging in the cold. He speaks without looking up. I used to think needing help was weakness. Turns out it's just gravity. Eventually, we all lean somewhere. Then, directly to the viewer, a whisper. Have you ever been caught before you fell? Could you be the arms today? Pause. The bell in his pocket stays silent, but the viewer hears it anyway. Winter softens into the hush of February thaw. The shed is finished insulated, with a narrow cot and a shelf for books. On moving day, half the town shows up. Someone brings chili in a crock pot. Another tunes a battery radio to the oldie station. Lily ties a red ribbon on the door, then steps back, suddenly shy. John's voice cracks when he says thank you, but the words are swept into the larger chorus of laughter and clinking spoons. That night, alone for the first time inside 4 walls he can call his, John lights a single candle. He unfolds the letter to Mom, reads it once, then strikes a match and lets the flame take the paper. Ash curls like the frost lace from the first scene. The bell finally rings a soft, silver sound as it drops from his pocket onto the wooden floor. He smiles at the sound, picks it up, and hangs it on a nail by the door where the draft will make it sing. The power of collective action is measured in small, cinematic moments. John stacking firewood behind the diner, Ruth teaching him to flip an omelet one, handed Lily reading aloud while he sands the edges of a bookshelf made from reclaimed pallets. The pastor finds him a part-time job driving seniors to appointments. He knows every road out of town and back again. Each mile is a quiet redemption. The camera lingers on the dashboard where the silver bell now hangs from the rearview mirror, ringing whenever he brakes for deer or potholes. Near climax, spring arrives early. Dogwoods bloom like popcorn along the creek. John stands at the mailbox again, but this time he's mailing a new letter, this one addressed to Lily's class, thanking them for the Scout House. Inside is the dented bell, now polished, with a note. For the next person who needs to hear, they're not alone. The viewer sees his hand hesitate before letting go. What would you do in their place? Hold on or pass it forward. If this touched you, subscribe to The Kind Story, tap like, and share it with someone who needs this moment. Hope and gratitude gather like evening light. In the last scene, John sits on the church steps at sunset, a gentle breeze lifting the edge of his clean shirt. The town bustles around him, kids chase fireflies, the diner's neon O-pen flickers on. The distant hum of the ice cream shop mixer blends with the evening hymn of crickets. Ruth walks by, drops a takeout box in his lap. 2 blueberry griddle cakes, extra syrup. She doesn't stop. She doesn't need to. John lifts the lid, smiles at the steam, and looks straight into the lens. Gratitude isn't a word, he says. It's a town. Now, tell us your kind story. In the comments, your words might become our next episode.